Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the Lanzarote Information News and Weather. I'm Mike from Lanzarote Information, and this week we're coming to you from our hotel room in Sevilla, and this is the last of our away trips, so we'll be back to the island before we publish the news next week for you. Over the last week or so we've been making our way down slowly from Asturias in the far north of Spain, all the way down through Burgos, Madrid, ended up in Sevilla. We had some time in Jaén, which is the olive oil producing region of Spain, which produces 40% of the world's olive oil. Spain, as you probably know, is the world's largest producer. But anyway, you're not here to hear about our travels, and just to let you know that I won't be doing the usual useful Spanish phrase this week, and I won't be doing the 3 things you could be doing on Lanzarote if you're on the island next week either, because I'm keeping these short as we have to hit the road very shortly when we're going to be kicked out of our hotel room. So this is a short and quick update on the news for you only, with normal service being resumed next week. And we're going to start off by talking about the weather, and we've been enduring, and that is the right word, an absolute heat wave as we've travelled across Spain here, with temperatures in the 40s, and in the afternoons it's been ridiculously hot over here. The news for those of you either in Lanzarote or travelling to Lanzarote is that we'll be bringing that with us. Now, the island has had good weather this week with normal kind of summertime temperatures in the mid-30s with nice blue skies, but there is a severe weather warning in for this weekend, and on Sunday when we arrive back in Lanzarote the temperature is expected to hit 42 degrees. So batten down the hatches, get yourselves in the swimming pools or into air-conditioned rooms. Now, kind of tied in with the weather as well, we've had the news this week that the wine harvest in Lanzarote is expected to be extremely low, and they're talking about it perhaps being the lowest for 30 years. And to give you a scale of it, typically the harvest will produce about 2 million kilos, about 2 metric tons of grapes. The forecast so far, and they're not all in yet, is that it's going to be about 600,000 kilos. So it's going to be a very low harvest. And basically the weather has just been all wrong for the grapes this year. The bit of rain that we did have happened at the wrong time. By and large, the drought has continued on the island, which has been in force really for months or years. Where we've had less than our average annual rainfall. So it just didn't work very well for the grape harvest. What does that mean in practical terms? Well, with that amount of wine that's likely to be produced, the island will probably run out of locally produced wine around the middle of next year. So that's the issue, and when we get to the middle of 2026, you'll stop seeing local wines on the supermarket shelves, and you'll be asking for your favourite, perhaps Bermejo wine, and the restaurants will be saying, I'm sorry, we haven't got any left. So we'll keep you updated on that as more information comes in, but it's not looking great for the wine harvest at the moment. We had some news this week that 3 roads in Tias have been turned into Vías Ciclista. Now, the Vías Ciclista are where you have the kind of red lane in the middle of the road, and the idea behind them is that cyclists have priority on those roads. So where you see that middle red lane, if you're a car driver, you need to give priority to the cyclists, so don't expect to be able to pass them, and don't push up close behind them, and so on. And it's a way of creating a cycle lane in an area where it's impossible to create a cycle lane because the road isn't wide enough to put an additional one at the side because there are buildings in the way. It means the speed limit's at 30 kilometers an hour. So if you're a car driver, please respect them. If you're a cyclist, then you can enjoy those 3 cycle routes from now because they're already open. Now, those of you who read the UK press will have seen some weird stories this week saying that the Canary Islands are struggling for visitors, and I saw one headline saying Brits shun Canaries and Mallorca. Well, The two aren't really related. We're a long way apart. But the information just isn't correct, and I don't know where they got the original story from, or whether it's an AI generated story. But anyway, we've had the latest tourist information through, and in July tourist numbers in Lanzarote were 2.2% up on last year. It's not a big increase, but last year, bear in mind, was a record. And year to date numbers overall are up for Lanzarote, and forward bookings look very good as well. So I'm 90% sure that 2026 will be another record year for tourism for the island. We've got 3 news stories for you to come, and one of them is about Ryanair Strike, so stay tuned for that if you're coming to the island over the next few months. And the first of them, though, is about illegal taxi transfers, and the Cabildo are starting an investigation into up to 40 individuals who are offering cheap transfers from the airport to accommodation and vice versa, advertising themselves on Facebook or other social media channels. So, hey, the normal taxi fare to Playa Blanca is €50. I can do it for you for €25. These, of course, are completely illegal. The drivers doing it don't have the necessary permissions. They therefore don't have any insurance. So if you do have an accident, or your property is damaged, or you're injured, God forbid, there's no cover for you at all. So please don't use those services. The 40 that are being investigated are likely to be sanctioned. The fines are eye-watering. They're very big, but they also face having their cars impounded and taken off them. So don't encourage these people. They shouldn't be doing it. And next up, I said I'd talk about that Ryanair strike, and this is the ground workers across Spain who are striking, and Ryanair has a base in Lanzarote, so it will affect Lanzarote as well. It's kind of an unusual strike. It's about causing discomfort rather than total and utter disruption, and they will be striking on Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays starting on the 15th of August. And they have 3 specific time windows, one in the morning, one in the middle of the day, and one at the end of the day, where they will be striking. So it's almost certainly not going to mean that you won't get your luggage or the aircraft won't take off. It just means there are likely to be some delays, particularly where there are a peak number of Ryanair flights coming into the airport on any of those days. So I feel the worst case scenario is that you might receive a bit of a delay while you're waiting around for your luggage once you're on the island, or to get away in the aircraft to get the luggage back on board it. This strike is all about workers who are being effectively sanctioned by Ryanair for refusing to work additional shifts when required. And what Ryanair have been doing with these people is basically suspending them without pay for 36 days if they're asked to do an additional shift, and they're saying, look, I'm sorry, I can't do that because, I don't know, I've got something else I need to be doing, or I'm going to a concert, or whatever their plans are. They're then being given 36 days laid off without pay, which sounds pretty barbaric to me. And if I've understood it correctly, then I kind of understand them striking, and hopefully the strike will win the battle, and Ryanair will realise that what they're doing isn't in the best interests of their teams. And finally, in the Lanzarote news, the Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, is arriving on the island with his family this weekend for his annual summer holiday. And it's the 3rd year in a row that Sanchez has chosen Lanzarote for his summer holidays. And he will be staying at the King's former home, which is called Las Maretas in Costa Teguise. And I think all the security dudes are in place there, and a big bunch of extra Guardia Civil officers have been called in to help protect him while he's on the island. But he if his behaviour on previous visits is anything to go by, you may well see him out and about. The last couple of years he's visited Aria Market on a Saturday morning. He's also been swimming at Famara with his wife, and they visited the Cueva de los Verdes and so on. So look out for him while you're out and about. And I've seen pictures of him with people having selfies taken, so you might get a selfie with the Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez. So that's it for this week. As I said at the beginning, it's been a relatively short bulletin. Everything will be back to normal next week, and we'll be doing all the extra bits and pieces that we do for you as part of these weekly news videos. Bear in mind, we also post a video every Tuesday and every Thursday. Tuesdays are all about history and information about Lanzarote. Thursdays are all about walking about the island somewhere and showing you what's going on in Lanzarote, in your favourite island. If you enjoy these videos, do subscribe to our newsletter as well. I've been writing that since 2008. It's actually Friday morning when I'm recording this, and I've just finished this week's newsletter. If you look in the description below, you'll see a link that will take you to somewhere where you can subscribe to it and see what you think of it and try it for a couple of weeks. If you've got any questions, just leave them as a comment below. I read every single one of them, and I'll certainly answer your questions. And I'm going to finish off by saying please give us a like if you've enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.